Helen here with Eyes on the Game, and right now I am at Xtreme Couture here with Miesha Tate's head coach, Robert Follis. Even though it's been a few months now since UFC 196, since Miesha won the title, first off, congratulations. Has it finally sunk in yet?
Yeah, I guess it really sunk in when we started camp to defend the title. Like up to that point, it was kind of like, we won, like it's there, and then it just kind of got back to business as usual.
Now, I know you mentioned in a few interviews after that you were really hoping to fight sooner rather than, maybe waiting for a Ronda to come back, and you were really looking at UFC 200. Now that it's against Amanda Nunes, do you feel that there's more pressure to prepare to defend the title rather than trying to get it?
I don't know if there's more. Yes. I'll put it simple. I mean, defending I think takes a little more work. Everybody's hungry, climbing. You've now become the site for everybody. Where prior there was people looking at us, but really they were looking at us to get to someone else. So I mean, I think there's some pressure there. But one of the beautiful things about Miesha is she deals with that really well. She's great at focusing on the task at hand and the performance, and not letting the event or what's going on be the determining factor in the stress level near as much as a lot of people would.
Yeah, and looking at Amanda Nunes, whereas, compared to Holly, who was kickboxer, more of a striker, and now Amanda, she's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. How do you feel that you guys have to prepare for her in comparison to the last camp?
Holly's style of kickboxing, and I actually believe she's probably a much better grappler than any of us have seen. I mean, she comes from a very good camp with great coaches. I know she's not avoiding working on the ground, but she's going to go where she's best, and that's a very smart thing. But she took, now I can't think of her name, Ronda. She took Ronda down and wasn't afraid to. I mean, she came, so it's like she's got some great skill sets there, but I feel like Amanda's almost a polar opposite in preparation. We have to be, what we think, a little more careful on the ground. And her striking is really to do more damage. I feel like Holly's out there to score points. She's going to hit, but if unless you run at her or give her something easy, she's not going to necessarily hurt you. She's just going to look to keep hitting you and moving. Where Amanda's a very aggressive fighter. She's going to come a little harder, and that poses some very different problems, and not want to get smacked too hard. So I feel like this fight could really be taken anywhere. I feel like Miesha's really worked to improve her stand-up, and I feel like that showed in the fight against Holly that even though we maybe weren't winning the overall technical piece standing, we weren't getting whooped on either, and we've been working very hard. Miesha's been working with her coach Giff, who's really done an amazing job the last couple of years getting her hands and her kickboxing and taking that to a new level. So we're really excited to see this fight wherever it goes. We expect this to be tough everywhere. I mean, Amanda's earned her right for a title shot, and we don't take her lightly.
Now, leading up to this point, though, I know you've been working with Miesha since UFC, I believe, 168, her first fight in the UFC against Ronda Rousey, and she's, overcome a lot. But to get to this point, can you kind of describe, the journey and what it was like and how sweet that victory really was for you guys as a team?
Yeah, I mean, having our first fight be for the title and with a fairly new team, I mean, we had a lot of people in working parts that were trying to gel for the biggest event you can do. And I feel like with the limited time we had, the people we had and the assets and how we pulled together with a common goal, we did an amazing job. And I mean, we had taken that fight further than anybody else had to that point, and felt like with a few adjustments, we were ready to fight Ronda again, and we're really looking forward to that. We got a lot of tough opponents in between, kind of waiting, when do we get Ronda? And then when we got off, we told we were going to get Ronda, and then it got pulled away. There was a lot of disappointment, as you can imagine. So when Holly won, then it was like, oh, well, now what are they going to do? Are they going to put us back in? I mean, are we going to get put on the shelf again? So when we got offered to fight Holly, we were super excited. I mean, everything that we had done for the last couple of years is we wanted to win a title. So getting there and getting that opportunity was phenomenal. Winning that fight was just over the top, and especially just because of the adversity, not, losing that first title fight, kind of being told, hey, you may or may not, if you fight again and lose it, we'll never get another title shot. There was a lot kind of going on with how's this going to play out for her career long term. Excuse me. So getting there and then being able to actually win that after all of that was just an amazing thing. And then how the fight unfolded, had we won in the second round, with a choke right away, it would have been a huge win. I would have been extremely happy. But there's something about that where we're losing, we're winning, we're losing, and then there's almost no time, we're losing, and then getting in and getting that takedown and that choke just made it a spectacular win.
Yeah, and I mean, now in reference to, for example, even the NBA Finals, it's like the Game 7, the fifth round, fifth and final. And like you mentioned, you felt that you guys were down on the scorecards and something had to happen. And just like the Cleveland Cavaliers, down 3-1 and had to pull something off. But how important is a third fight with Ronda? Say she defends her title at UFC 200. Is it very important for you guys to fight her a third time?
Well, we'll see if she comes back to fight, we'd love to fight her. I mean, I don't know. We've never really talked about this is going to define our career, or we need this for anything. What we need to do right now is fight whoever the UFC puts in front of us that's the best contender at the time. Obviously, if and when Ronda comes back, if she's wanting a shot at that, we would love that. We would love a chance to prove that we got that figured out too, and that we're the dominant champ. I mean, so I don't feel like it's a necessity, but I think it's a want. But it's really been not much of a thought. I mean, these fights kind of stacked up back to back. We knew Ronda was out for a while, so it hasn't really been a piece that we've talked about. But I know when it does come up, we'll be prepared. We continue to train and try and get better every fight, and I feel like some things got shown with her fight against Holly that we can capitalize on. And like I said, we already thought we would win that fight. I mean, we thought we'd made the adjustments, and we believed in our camp and what we had going on. So.
And speaking of your camp, though, I know her boyfriend and also her coach, Bryan Caraway, he was a critical part, of helping her and with that camp. Are you guys doing the same thing where he's kind of more of the head coach role? Or what's going on with this camp?
Well, this camp's been a little bit different, and I'm not big on titles, a lot. So when I got brought in, Bryan's been her main coach for years. I mean, he's been with her from the very beginning and has done amazing. I mean, she's here in large part due to Bryan and the work that he's done. I got brought in to help round out some of those things, to add a little buffer for their relationship during that. And neither one of us really kind of talk about who's in charge. Really, it's a kind of a combination of what needs to get done. And this fight, because Bryan was in camp, I was taking over a lot more of the duties than normal. And then he finished the fight. He's had some traveling and some things to do. But he's always going to be integral in those pieces. And we just never talk about it. There's never been a conversation with, part of what I love about the people I'm working with right now, coaching, is there's never a talk about, hey, who gets the title in the corner and who's going to get this? It's who needs to speak that's going to get things across the best, who's going to give the best advice in this position, what do we need to do? We discuss things. There's a very open dialogue. And really the title that matters is the world title. So title of who's the head coach is really kind of a non-subject to me.
And do you think after her winning the belt, has her attitude, has she been happier, coming to practice?
She's always been a joy to work with. Yeah. I mean, I've never been around Miesha where it felt like, oh man, this is a drag. Or, I mean, everybody has their rough days coming into camp, but she always looks forward to training. She knows what she's training for. She's very goal-oriented and willing to work hard for what she wants. So I haven't really noticed a difference in that. I mean, she just seems... Yeah, it's another fight. She's still hungry. I mean, now it's about defending that title, that legacy, and I don't feel like she's dropped off in focus or work ethic or gotten better. Like the things that got her to championship are the same things, that same work ethic, working to continue it.
And lastly, Robert, so obviously we all know that Miesha's very well-rounded, but for the fans and the viewers who will be watching her fight against Amanda Nunes and her first title defense, what can they expect in that fight, and which version of Miesha Tate should they expect?
Well, I can tell you this. Miesha fought very patient against Holly because it was a necessity. Amanda's going to be a little more aggressive, and that really fits Miesha's style. We're looking for some sparks to fly and really get after it and push the pace. We feel like that favors us even more than it does Amanda, and so I would expect a far more in-your-face, get-after-it fight than we saw in the last one.
So it may not last all 5 rounds.
We never want it to last all 5. I mean, if we have our way, we're going to put this away as soon as we can. I mean, and that's always the goal.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. July 9th, UFC 200, the big card. Yes. Coach Robert Follis. And where can viewers and listeners follow you on social media?
On Twitter, I'm Robert Follis, I think, just at Robert Follis, and on Instagram, I'm Follis MMA.